Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, guess who this is? Live from Harlem in New York City. This be the Ramble, and I'm Alex Bennett.
Now, the gentleman there is very special in my life. You have fired me how many times?
At least twice.
At least twice. And yet we still talk to each other, and we're still friends, and I like him a lot.
Well, the feeling's mutual. And I think a lot has to do with the fact that I owned up to the fact that I made a really big mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Well, you made the decision you had to make at the time. It seemed right at the moment, right?
Well, there's lots of things that were going on at that time that I've never spoken publicly about. As you get older, we're just talking about how we're both aging.
Yeah.
I look at it like I'm growing up and I'm trying to understand myself, and I look back and I say, boy, I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe I did this, or what an idiot I was, or whatever the scenario is. Pretty hard on myself.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, the story is, at that time, I inherited a very poor radio station, KITS, at the time before we brought you on.
Right.
And then we brought you on, and it was basically, we have Alex Bennett in the morning and this whatever we're doing the rest of the day, and it didn't really have any, didn't really make a lot of sense, in terms of what we were doing.
Yeah.
So
the music didn't match the personality.
The stationality didn't match the
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
The imaging, the brand was askew. It just didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was this teeny bopper. If you have zits, you listen to Kits. That's how we were being attacked on the other side. So when my middle daughter was born on September 5th, 1986, and that was my first GM job. I think I might have been the youngest GM in San Francisco.
Right.
Maybe San Francisco history. I was 31 years old, and I didn't know my ass from my elbows. And I'm thrown into this situation. I took the job probably because no one in that town was going to work for as little as I was willing to work for at that time. But the thing is that we were in kind of a desperate situation. We were thrown in that situation because the ownership at that time he was very worried about payola plagola.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were competing against KMEL, and we couldn't play Thriller unless his secretary called all the Tower Record stores in the area, in the Bay Area, to see what kind of sales they were getting on the 45s. So it had to show up. So it took 3 weeks to add a song, when in CHR the other guys were adding it right away.
They were
right
adding
out of the
it right
box.
away. Yeah.
So we got our ass kicked, and there was really no way to compete head to head as a CHR. So I had to flank everybody, but I didn't have an owner that really understood what we were doing. Had an owner who didn't understand what you were doing, because
No.
unless we would have gotten that sweetheart deal from the other company to pay 40 or 60% of your salary.
What you did with me was what they do with football teams and baseball teams and so on. You were saying you would take. They didn't want me, okay, and you would take over my contract for what you were going to pay for 60% of it, or what was the deal on that?
I think I was paying 60% and they were paying 40%.
But they didn't like that deal. They wanted 50-50.
Well,
And you said you would give them 50-50 until I beat the ratings or equaled the ratings that I had at their station.
yeah, but you did that in 3 weeks.
And I did that in 3 weeks. And they had
pretty
to
much.
keep paying me
Yeah,
50% for the next
Right.
year and a half
But-
or something.
But to get back to this thing, like, no matter what people think of me, or what you think of me, or what I've done in my career, I mean, I've always prided myself on being honest, forthright, being a stand-up person. Like I said, admitting when I've made mistakes on a lot of different things. Honesty was a big part of that. Integrity is a big part of that. And I
Yeah.
talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Yet here I am finding myself changing a format without the owner's permission.
You snuck it past him.
I snuck it past them, and at that time it was like if Philadelphia calls, don't put them on hold. I don't want them to hear what we're doing. They wouldn't have understood it. What he told me to do was, I said to him, "We're going to make some changes on the air," and he said, "Well, make some insy beansy tiny changes where the listener doesn't even know what you're doing." Well, that's not really making a change. We really had to hit people over the head. We come out, the station that dares to be different, and we're going to be milquetoast isn't really going to work. So the issue was, I was hiding this, and it really went against my core principles, and it bothered me, and it wore on me. And while everybody in that building was having a great time, because I really think I created an atmosphere where everybody could be who they are, and we were wild and crazy and kind of classic, and you set the tone in the morning for what you were doing. It bothered me. It really bothered me, and eventually it wore me out because everyone was having a great time except one person in that building, and that person was me.
Oh, jeez.
But I've never expressed that, and I think that's where I kind of got to a point where, until his son, Joe Field's son, took over, no one was really going to understand what we're trying to do. I mean, I would talk to them about marketing, and they would send me a billboard from Philadelphia or a TV spot from Philadelphia that had very little to do what we were really actually trying to do. So, again, I think that was a major cause of my burnout. And I think I at the end of the day, I didn't make great decisions at the end, and I kind of left on my own to kind of start something else and go into bigger and better things, which eventually happened, but not right away.
Yeah, but at the time you got rid of me, then you were in the middle of all this angst.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. And the thing is, what's interesting was, look, and I take responsibility for it, but there were a lot of people in that building who came to me even that morning and said, "Hey, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing." And then after it happened and it exploded negatively, it was like, "Oh, that asshole, I can't believe he made a decision like that." That kind of stuff. But that's life, and that's where it goes. And that was the hand I dealt myself. And it took me a while to come back.
Yeah, basically you were keeping from the people in Philadelphia the fact that you had changed the entire format of the radio station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing was, the morning that happened, the Arbitron rep, Arbitron was the rating service at the time, a guy named Marvin Korab, calls the owner of the company and congratulates him on the format change. So remember this teensy little.
But I heard that at one point
that the listener shouldn't know about.
At one point he finally came to the station.
He
heard it and said, "Well, it's working, so what can I do?"
What happened was he came and he was staying at the Fairmont, and I picked him up in the car and I drove him. We were kind of silent. I didn't turn the radio on, and I dropped him off so he could drop his bags off, and then we're going to go to dinner. And he goes up to his room, and I turn the radio on, and here's Steve Masters broadcasting live from some club in Palo Alto. And the song is, "Oh, oh, oh, feels so good. Oh, 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 feels so good." And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, if he goes up to the room, turns the radio on, I'm not going to be long for the world. And he came down and he looked me in the eye and he basically said, "Well, you went too far." And then the lesson you learn is the next one who speaks loses. So I shut my mouth.
Yeah.
And then he said, "I'm not saying you did the wrong thing." Okay.
Yeah.
But still, again, I have integrity, and I talk about that all the time. That's something I protect with my life. And here I am lying through my ass.
Yeah.
And because I kind of felt I had to do that, and if I didn't do that, there wouldn't be Live 105. It wouldn't have been this thing that we created.
Yeah.
Again,
It became a very successful radio station.
a very successful, iconic brand
Uh-huh.
that's still an iconic brand because they had changed the name. It's kind of like Coca-Cola changing their name to become Jolt Cola.
Yeah.
You have a successful brand, and then they changed the name to Alt 105.3, and then they changed the format and they called it Dave FM. I have no idea why they called it Dave FM, but they called it Dave FM. And the ratings plummeted. And then they brought back Live 105 in a broom closet, okay, because it's all on a computer. And the ratings went through the roof because they brought back the iconic brand.
Yeah, but yet the brand they brought back they did not bring back Live 105. They just brought back the name.
Well, remember, the people who remember Live 105 we're going back 1986 it started, so what are we, almost 40 years? So those people who were in their 20s are now in their 60s, and so I think that some new discovery from some young people who might have heard about this great brand, got in the mix, and they're certainly doing better, But my suggestions were that they didn't go far enough, that they should have called you up and brought you back for a week. You could have broadcast from New York, or bring back Big Rick Stewart, Steve Masters, some of the iconic people who were on that station.
Instead, they didn't bring back any of those people
as guest hosts. Well, that would cost money, to go do that. Unless you want to do it for free, I'll set that up for you.
I'm doing this for free.
I understand that. Yeah. But I'm happy that the people who started the station and were associated with the brand got some recognition for the fact that it was iconic and it is legendary, and bringing it back just sparked some increased interest in the radio station.
Yeah.
Because the people who we worked with at that time were outstanding people. They were great. That whole staff was unbelievable. As a matter of fact, when I left, and I handpicked my successor who came in, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what did he do for the next 5 years? He didn't change a thing.
He brought me back, actually.
Well, he brought you back, and he was a hero for that. But he kept every seller. Freddie Abner was there for over 30 years. He kept the marketing people with Gabby.
Well, his whole feeling when he brought me back was, let's get the gang back together.
Right.
And so he made sure that all the people that were there were the people that were there prior to whatever nonsense went on. They called it pirate radio at one point, and
No, we all we did was we mimicked the slogan of pirate radio.
Pirate radio, that was it.
Something renegades of the airwaves. We had a billboard. I think that's all we basically said.
Yeah.
To do that, but that was it. But again, he was smart to keep those people because those people were great. They loved what they were doing. As I said, everyone in that building was having a great time except one person.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
Because I was ill-ridden by what I did. Now, should I have been?
Well, once he came out and he heard what you were doing, and he said, "Well, it's working, and you better be glad it is." Then you should have had a certain amount of relief.
No, because I'm supposed to call him up and tell him, Alex wants interview this person or that person, and then the other thing you have to understand is you were having a great time on the show in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You had all the comics
it's the best
on
time I ever had.
Everybody else, right? And then when you guys left, I had to go clean up the mess with the Chinese for Affirmative Action, GLAD, Macy's, Carl's Jr. I mean, all the clients who were
we did have a few.
About,
we had a few problems.
Had a few problems, right?
The Carl's Jr. thing was the best, though. They canceled.
Yeah.
They canceled because they had gotten like 500 letters or something. And then when you went out and hired a detective, a private detective. I'm trying to remember who it was. He was very famous.
Well, you call him Sam Spade, but I forgot his name. But I don't
but he was
his...
like one of the most well-known detectives in the Bay Area. In fact, they had done some TV series about him or something. But anyway, He went and checked, and he figured it out. It was one guy sending all these letters.
Yeah.
And you said to me something that was kind of interesting. You called me in and you said, we're having trouble with Carl's Jr., and I'm sick of it. Go after them. And you unleashed me on Carl's Jr. And so I went on the air and told this whole story about how they canceled their advertising because blah, 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 blah. And eventually, the local guy who owned all the Carl's Jr. franchises in the Bay Area, called up Carl, whoever, who owns the company.
Don Karcher, I think it was.
Why did you cancel? You're ruining my business.
Right.
And they caved. They absolutely caved. And they came back. And that was wonderful. That was a win for us.
And Macy's did the same thing. You said, I just want you to know that Macy's does not want listeners of Alex Bennett's show shopping in their stores. So don't shop there anymore. Don't shop at Carl's Jr. There's a lesson there, actually. And I think that this is really before the internet, before things got really crazy with tweets and all the negative social media vibes and everything else. We did it the old-fashioned way. I remember we asked people to send us letters, and I'm carrying bags of mail and throwing it on buyers' desks saying, look at all the support we have, in terms of being able to do it that way. But I learned a valuable lesson, and I think that the lesson was really true to my beliefs. Again, it's just be true and honest and just tell people what's going on.
And by the way, you don't allow an advertiser to dictate your programming, because if you do, they will do.
That goes back to those people trying to stop you from promoting the famous comic.
Yeah.
That came into our station to protest. Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
Promoting a Sam Kinison concert in San Francisco. And they stormed in my office, which was the toughest day I've ever had at radio.
This is a great story, though. It was GLAAD.
Right.
And they came in and they started playing excerpts of Kinison's act, which if you play an excerpt, you're going to have problems. But if you listen to what went on before that excerpt and after that excerpt, it then puts it in context and the whole thing changes.
Well, there were about 9 or 10 people representing the community.
It was like the Women's Morality Committee had shown up.
I get you. But what they did do was, for my benefit, so I'd understand what they were trying to say. And they did make their point, and I respected their point.
Yeah.
There was a lot of gay bashing going on in town and this, that, and the other. And Kinison would make jokes about gays. So it opened my mind and really, in reflection, it was a good meeting. But what they did was they came in, and we had to be real serious, and they edited a 5-minute tape of the best of Sam Kinison. So we had to listen through the best of Sam Kinison.
Well, actually, it was the worst of Sam Kinison in their opinion.
As far as they were concerned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just listen to how horrible this is, and you guys are sitting there listening to it, trying to keep from laughing.
Right. I had to cover my face like I had a cold or this, that, and the other. And then once I kind of assured them that we had things under control, you call them Nazis.
No, I got up. I said, you know something? I just don't approve of this kind of thing. You're no more than a bunch of Nazis trying to dictate what we say and feel. And quite frankly, I'm sick of this. And I got up and I left and I slammed the door.
Sure did. You sure did. And I'm sitting there with them.
And I could hear them gasp as I did that.
I'm sitting there basically, they're looking at me like, so you have no control of this guy, do you? So the point was that I said to them, thank you for coming in. You've enlightened me. Okay. You're not going to change my opinion on what we promote and not promote. Okay. But what they got out of it was they got a weekly show on Sundays. Remember that?
Yeah. And also what they got, I'll tell you.
We gave them a platform.
Well, the thing was that I had always been a friend of the gay community in San Francisco. Right. And one of the points I made as I was storming out, you're taking a friend and turning him into an enemy. And I said, you shouldn't do that. You should be very careful about that. And, after that point, I think I did some kind of promotion and donated $5,000 to GLAAD. And they were very happy with that. And I said, you're getting that not as a piece of guilt on my part, but the fact that I've always supported the gay community. And, you know, in fact, I always talk about I grew up gay because all the kids in school thought I was gay. Because my father was a musician and I went to the ballet, you know, and things like that. And so, what are you, queer or something? So I always like to say I grew up gay, even though I wasn't, you know. So,
Yeah.
but that was a great story, and the lesson in both the Carl's Jr. thing and in that is you do not let people strong arm you into what your programming is going to be. You listen to their concerns, and then you move on and do what you feel is best, not only for the radio station but for the community in general, you know?
We did right by the community by giving them a voice, giving them a half-hour show on Sundays, and we fostered a nice relationship, and it was great from there on.
Yeah, yeah. But I just, you know, I felt very hurt by that because they were doing something which I found disgusting, and they were taking a comedian out of context and then, you know, attempting to make a case taking him out of context. And I said, that's not fair. It reminded me of what they did to Lenny Bruce, where the cops would get up on the stand, and he always used to say, there's nothing worse than seeing a cop doing your act, you know.
Well, it hasn't changed much in 40 years or 38 years, whatever. But look at the comics today. I mean, they can't go to universities. They can't play a lot of clubs.
Bobby Slayton has quit comedy because of that, you know. It's just impossible. And we've lost our sense of humor. There's no doubt about it in my mind, you know. And I see the comics we've got around today, and I'm going, you know, it's not.
Milk Toast.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And the late night comics.
But anyway, so this is the guy who I went through those wars with. Did that station make a lot of money while I was there?
Compared to where it was before, yes. Because it was in the shitter. Also remember that he paid $360,000 for that signal in 1967.
Yeah.
He had virtually no debt service, so there wasn't a lot of financial pressure on us. Like, you know, you got to. Although if I wanted to give a receptionist a 10-cent raise, I had to go through him and argue with him about it. But yeah, it made a lot of money, you know, relative to that particular time. But I think what I'm saying is, at that particular point, it was really about to take off financially. Is kind of when I left. So I really left at the wrong time because I didn't take advantage of that.
Because somebody told me an enormous amount of money they said I made for that station every year, and I didn't quite believe what I heard. I can't remember what the number was now.
Depends on who told you that.
Somebody said I made this station something like $40 million a year.
No. That was what K-Rock was doing at that time in Los Angeles. Probably within that period of time, because it was in the largest radio market, and it was more established. You know, with
how about when I came back and Pat was the general manager? Did it do better than it was doing under you?
Yes, yeah, because it was more established, and the format was much more accepted in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember, you know, the Quake, which you were on, all those alternative formats were trying to find footing, because that wasn't what was popular at that time.
Right.
You know, the album that was being played on the radio really didn't match that. So it was virtually mostly unfamiliar songs and European imports and British imports and things that we were doing. That was really different. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that, you know, I went there and I made a difference. I tried, and we shook the market up. You know, a lot.
Definitely did. And I remember when I was at the Quake, and they changed the format. They had been kind of a middle-of-the-road rocker, too. And then they changed the format because they hired this programmer from L.A. who had done, I think, KLOS, or what station? K-Rock.
Right.
And all of a sudden, one day, there was this whole new music that we were playing. And I loved it. I felt where before the music didn't fit me, that music fit me.
It did.
You
Yeah.
know.
But also remember, though, that radio at that particular time, I had to go to a place, I had to flank the marketplace because I couldn't compete head to head with a CHR or an AC or a typical classic rock station, because those companies were just going to outspend us, and we were not real players. So I had to go to a place where no one was going to kind of follow us off in the corner, and it took time to build that corner to make it large enough, but commercially successful. But but your first instinct, so if you have a good signal at 105.3, it's basically go mainstream, go AC, go with the broadest possible audience so you can make the most amount of money. We couldn't do that because we already got our ass hit.
Hey, listen, we've run out of time here, but why don't we stop at this point and we'll do maybe another little half hour here that we'll play at another time so that we can continue this story, which is a very complicated story about how radio stations work. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we'll do another one in a couple of minutes here, but that'll play in about a week or so.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. That's Ed Cramp.
Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh yeah, thank you. That is a interview that I ran a long time ago, and I figured I'd run it again tonight because I'm lazy and I haven't done any new interviews. So, call it what you will. I'm lazy. All right. But I really enjoyed that interview, and it looks like we got a lot of audience listening to it too. So apparently. Let me just adjust myself here. Sounds like I'm moving my pants around, but no, I'm just fixing that up. Anyway, I just love Ed Cramp, and I should call him again and do another thing with him. But anyway, I thought I'd do that tonight and replay it because a lot of you haven't heard it in the past, and it gives you an insight into the radio business. Okay? All right, let's see here. Let me bring in these people who are waiting. There's Charlie Wallace. There's Brian Neary. Hi, Brian?
Again? No. Something's wrong.
Well, the other way. There you go. See?
No, I had to reset it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I had it the right way.
Yeah, anyway. And Brian Sigmund is here. We haven't seen him in a while. And Charlie and Kevin's coming in. And Alan. Alan's here too. So hello, Alan. And Jeffrey Stein is here. He's going to be joining us in a second. If he can connect his audio. There we go. Can you hear me, Jeffrey?
Yep.
Yep. And we can hear you, and it's fine. See? Let's all give him a big round of applause, okay? All right. Yeah. Anyway, so hello, everybody. How are you? What's new? Haven't seen you in a while, Brian, but how you been?
I've been busy. Kevin told you guys last night I was busy opening the valve.
You're opening the valve, yeah. And the other Brian Sigmund, Brian with a Y, how are you doing?
I love you, Alex.
Oh, thank you. I love you too.
Yeah, I'm a heater man in the middle of a big freeze up here. We're just busy as a mother effer up here.
Yeah, really. Up, you're where again?
South Jersey.
South Jersey. Okay. All right. And let me see here. I got to. Let me just do a couple of things here so that I can see how things are. There we go. Anyway, so hello to all of you. I don't know about you, but I feel real sorry that some people lost their lives in an airplane disaster, and the guys in the helicopter. I feel sorry for them too. But all day long, that's all they've had on the newscast. That's all. It's like it's the only story. And anytime somebody decided to cry, like they had Nancy Kerrigan, and they asked her what she thought, and she started crying, they've been running that all day. If it cries, they put it on. And I just think, when you talk about bad taste in situations like this, nobody's worse than these news organizations. Everybody today was complaining about Donald Trump holding a press conference, and they have a reason to yell at him for it, in which he said how sorry he was for the people that, let's all say a prayer for the people who died and blah, 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 blah. But if it wasn't for Obama and Biden, you wouldn't have DEI, and DEI is what caused the problem.
If I didn't do this, it wouldn't have happened. If I didn't do that.
Yeah. And I think that, he's getting he's kind of getting brash. He's getting full of himself because.
Getting?
Well, I'm saying he's being full of himself. All right. And he's going to go too far sometime, and it's going to blow up in his face.
Yep.
Okay. So
He's already got.
I don't think so. He's told people to drink bleach. Come on.
no, but that was before. This is now. Now a bunch of people die in a plane crash and in a helicopter, and then he gets on and makes a political thing out of it. How bad taste can you be?
His people don't care.
No, his people might care about something like that.
I don't think so.
They just won't say anything.
I mean,
Exactly.
there are already people that are having buyer's remorse.
But his
if you
voters
have
don't.
an iPhone, people who it'll come out. The first thing that'll come out is people who regret voting for Trump.
Yeah.
Because people apparently are searching because they regret voting for Trump.
Well, they're stuck with him now for 4 years. And then you watch somebody, they were doing the hearings today for Kash Patel. What a piece of work that asshole is.
Big time.
I mean, come on. You're even considering that for the head of the FBI? Are you kidding me? I almost wish we had J. Edgar Hoover back.
But Kennedy was just as bad. They keep showing all the stuff that he was making money off of unvaccinated kids. And they say, oh, wait, now that you're for vaccinations, are you going to take that stuff off your websites or whatever? And he says, oh, I have no control over that stuff they sell.
Oh, jeez.
What an idiot.
Well, I think it was when Bernie Sanders brought up the onesies.
Yeah.
Unvaxxed, something. It said unvaxxed.
No problem, or no vax, no problem.
No
or something.
vax, no problem. Yeah. This is, I think he did all these people because he wanted to just put the worst possible people you could have in those positions. Just so it'll, it's like pay no attention to the man behind the curtain,
And what about his first term? He put that lady in as the education czar, and her kids went to private school.
Oh boy, son of a bitch. It doesn't get any better, does it? And so anyway, but anyway, this crash, the plane crashing. If you want to see the news media at their stupidest, it's on a day like today. Here is one of the questions that was asked of, somebody like, the guy that did the plane in the Hudson. They were talking to him.
Sully.
And Sullenberger. Yeah. And they asked him the following question. So what do you think happened? Well, I don't know. I've got an idea here. A helicopter hit a plane. Okay, did I get it right? All right, have me on as the expert. I mean, what a stupid question. What happened? We know what happened.
CNN had the guy in the cockpit for as a similar plane.
Simulator, yeah.
He was interviewing him in the cockpit, and I'm like, "What do you think?" They said, "What do you think the air pilot saw?" He says, "Well, you can't see much." And I'm like, "Do they think that he has side mirrors or something that he could see the helicopter coming from behind him?"
And then on the 6 o'clock, 6:30 news, Lester Holt is on the spot near the Potomac doing his newscast. My question is, how's he going to help? What good is done by him being there? I don't get what these people are thinking, what's in their mind. And they also like to zoom in on people who are crying. And I mean, it's a tragedy. Treat it like that. Have respect for it, you know? Don't say, oh boy, we got ourselves 24 hours of broadcasting here, gang. Let's go.
I want to see Trump in a snorkel in the Potomac looking for those people.
Yeah, right. Well, that won't happen. You know, but we know it's all DEI's fault. Everything we blame on DEI. And what you don't blame on DEI, you blame on AI.
Yep.
What you don't blame on AI, you blame on VD. I don't know. What's with all these initials anyway? It took me days to figure out what DEI meant. They kept using it so much, and I'm going, DEI. And finally somebody listed it, and I went, oh, okay, now that makes sense. But nobody in any of it thought they had to sit down and tell you what DEI meant exactly, you know. So, anyway, happy with your presidency so far?
I love it.
You said that so convincingly, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, fuck you. How about that?
Yeah. So anyway, what else is happening? Nothing much else is happening. Then they had Tulsi Gabbard. Boy, does she have a skin problem or what? You know.
I didn't see her.
And sometimes worse than others.
Sometimes it's worse than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the lighting and how much makeup she put on. Well, how much putty she put on, actually.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think she's gonna get, put into office. I don't think so. I think even the Republicans don't like her, you know. And
Why? Why?
Why? They don't like her whole take on Syria. They don't like her whole take on the fact that she likes Putin and that she felt that Snowden should be given a reprieve, you know.
Yeah.
And these are things the Republicans don't like about her. And that's
She has opinion.
yeah. It's so close anyway that even like 3 or 4 people and that's it. You're not in. And I think there are 3 or 4 Republicans who are not going to vote for her.
Is that us hoping?
Huh?
Is that us hoping, or is that like a real
no?
Political.
It's got to be at least 3 Republicans at least 4 Republicans on your side. You know, because if it's 3 Republicans against you, then they bring in the vice president and he casts the deciding vote, and then you're in, okay, because he does whatever Daddy Trump tells him to do, you know. So. It doesn't look good for her, but it looks good for Kash Patel. And if you watched him today, I mean, if I were there, I'd want to punch him in the nose. I mean, it just he's just such an arrogant piece of crap, you know. And that's not just because I don't like him because of what he believes. He just happens to be a snotty human being. Anybody watch those today at all?
Nope.
I had to work.
I did. Yeah, I watched them.
You watched them. What did you think? What was your takeaway?
Oh, she was arrogant from the very beginning.
She was arrogant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she also didn't answer the questions very well. And neither did Patel, really. But, you know.
What's his name? I forgot which senator or rep it was trying to get him to say that Trump won, and he would not say it.
Trump lost.
He's the president. He's the president, but he wouldn't say.
He said Biden became the president, so obviously he won, or something.
No, he didn't even say that. He never said the W word.
I guess they're not supposed to, because that makes Trump really mad. Because Trump
still lives. So it's obvious.
Trump still lives in this delusion that he won.
Yeah.
I mean, he lost by what? 5 million votes? More than that?
7 million.
7 million? And he still doesn't think he lost? I think we just lost Brian Sigmund. I think he's you look tired, Brian.
What are you talking about?
He's rather stoned or drunk.
Yeah, he's either stoned or drunk, one or the other. Yeah. Well, you know. Now we have to figure out which.
Follow the finger.
Yeah. Well, you were a cop. You can give him the sobriety test. Anyway.
There you go. Supposed to be like this.
So I don't know what to talk about tonight. Anybody have anything?
Well, I can tell you, I'm in a different state.
You're in a different state?
Yeah.
Well, you're in Florida, right?
I'm back in Florida. Yeah.
You're back in Florida. Yeah, you were there the other day too.
Yeah, I was.
Do you like it in Florida? I mean,
yes. Right now, it's really nice.
Really?
Yes.
But you got to deal with the governor there. You got to deal with those.
Oh shit! You know, you can't even walk close to his house. You're never going to see anything. There's a whole bunch of cops on the street all over the place.
Wait, are you near his house?
Not really, but it's, I don't know, probably about half an hour. You could drive by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, you know, he probably takes the same airport where I fly in. He flies in and out. And he said he's going to live there. Really? And not only that, he's going to run the country over there. So.
I mean, Alex, what older Jew doesn't like Florida?
Well, no, the reason the Jews like Florida is because as you get older, you become more sensitive to cold. Okay? Yes. There was a time where I could be freezing in my apartment. I wouldn't care. Now, in the middle of the night, I'm going, it's freezing in here. He isn't turning on the heat, And so that's why Jews move to Florida, because they go there for the winter.
I thought it was for the pay no sales tax, and state tax is gone in Florida.
There's no state. No, there is a state tax there. Okay. There's not a tax on real estate. I don't think is what the no tax is. Okay, I think
well, we rent this place, so we don't own it. We don't own this place.
Right, but what I'm saying is if you own the place, you wouldn't have to pay taxes on it. But that's just for starters, Yeah. But there is a state tax. I mean, you go into a grocery store, you pay tax, right?
I guess.
Oh, you don't go into the grocery store. Your wife does, right?
Yeah. I go in with her, and I just.
Somebody's got
whatever the hell she tells me to do. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting, but I got to tell you, the place where I am, I'm on the 8th floor. Mm-hmm. I can look out and watch all the boats going out by. Nice stuff. Yeah. And all these people who are here are from different countries, different states that come in here and stay here for a while. So, am I
Yeah,
still on? Yeah.
yeah. I haven't wanted to go down to Florida. That has not sounded like a great idea to
Oh,
me.
you loved Miami when you were on the air.
Oh yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed it down there. It was just this state has no personality.
Absolutely. You're correct.
There's no personality. California, in various parts of California, got personality, but
I have a friend of mine that lives in Miami, and I was there in the summer. Let me tell you, I would have rather been there in the rain, but actually, it was almost like there was so much humidity. And but we had a good time. There was a lot of good food in Miami, and
Yeah.
I smoked cigars. There, on every corner is a cigar store. It's it was good.
well, they have what's the crab down there? The
Blue crab.
no, it isn't the blue crab. It's it's a crab where they cut off its leg.
Break it off.
They
And it grows back.
and then it grows back, and so you eat those claws all the time. They keep replenishing themselves. But if I were a goddamn crab, that would not really make me very happy. Like I'm going, hey, look at this, Isn't that what are you doing? What are you? Wait, you just cut off one of my claws. Oh well, I'm not going to worry about it. It'll grow back. And so slowly it grows back, and then he goes, I got both of my claws back, and then he goes, what's happening? Wait a minute, don't do that. It's a terrible thing to do to those crabs. But they don't kill them. They don't kill them. They just keep them around, and they just keep growing their claws back and keep growing their claws back. But they're kind of used to just walking in a circle most of the time, though. Because get it
Stone crab is what you're thinking.
Stone crab, that's it. You know what? You know what was terrible about stone crab for me is I would go in, you buy them, they give you like a whole bucket full of them, right? And then you would eat them. And what happened was the juice from the stone crabs made my fingers sting.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I have a tendency to bite my fingers, right? I used to. And so they were kind of, when the juice could get into them, it really hurt. So I didn't eat stone crab anymore. I felt it was stone crab trying to get even with me somehow.
You could probably wear a glove, a rubber glove, and eat the stone crab that way, huh?
Well, where did you get rubber gloves in those days?
Well, I don't know.
I always know
I
where.
wasn't around in the 50s. I don't know.
I always know where to get rubber gloves now. When the doctor says, go into that room and wait for me, since he's taking forever, I take a whole bunch of rubber gloves with me. It's been a
Absolutely.
thing of mine for a long time.
What size do you wear? Large? What size do you wear?
I can do the mediums. Yeah, I can do the mediums. I don't do the large. I only take about, I don't know, two pairs at a time, And that'll teach him for keeping me in this room all by myself. With there are no magazines in those rooms either, so it really gets boring.
That's what a cell phone's for, isn't it? And that's what a cell phone's for.
Well, that's what I do now, But in the old days, you just sat in there and waited, And you hear him walking down the hallway, and you kind of waiting for him to come to the door, and then finally they knock beforehand, like, what am I doing? And they're jerking off while he's not there,
Probably.
Stealing gloves. You're stealing gloves.
I'm stealing gloves, right. But he's warning me with the knock, so what have you. So, what was I saying? Let me see here. What else was there happening? Let me go look at Drudge. Then I'll get an idea of what we can.
I listened to last night's show on the drive-in this morning, and I just let you guys know that your prostate conversation. I never hear you guys speak over each other just to talk about get in your finger, put up your butt, and all that stuff. You guys were interrupting each other like nonstop. 3 people talking at a time. It was like the topic of the year or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's the only time you can really talk about a finger up your butt, and it's scientific. You know. So.
I think you enjoy it.
No. I told you I had a doctor once who said that to me. Every time I go into him, no matter what was wrong with me, I could have like a splinter on my finger, and he'd still stick his finger up my ass. And finally, I said, why is it no matter what I come into you for, you always wind up sticking your finger up my ass? He says, admit it, you like it.
No, he didn't say that.
Yes, he did. I said, not really.
And that was your dentist?
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's the old joke, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I predicted your hormone joke.
Oh, the hormone joke?
Yeah, hormone, and I'm like driving in, and I go, here goes Alex, here he goes.
Well, you know, you've listened to me long enough that you know that joke, and you know I'm going to say it.
Exactly.
In case the rest of you didn't hear it last night. How many heard it? The hormone joke.
Last night,
Yeah.
I was falling asleep.
Yeah. The question is, how do you make a hormone? And the answer is refuse to pay her. Boom. I see.
Okay.
Anyway, well, we only got 35 minutes left.
I think Brian's stoned.
Hmm?
I think Brian was stoned.
Oh, hey, this is interesting. According to Gallup, you ready for this? Wait a minute, let me get rid of that. Trump inaugural approval rating is historically low.
Really?
Yeah.
Go figure.
At 47%, President Donald Trump's job approval rating for his second term is similar to the inaugural 45% reading during his first term, again placing him below other elected presidents. Because when they're first elected, everybody kind of goes, hey, yeah, we got a new president. We love him. We love him. We love him. Kennedy had 72%. Eisenhower, 68%. Jimmy Carter had 66%. But the lowest on this list, well, the 3 lowest were H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump again.
Wow.
So, yeah. So he hasn't got a really good approval rating going, which is fine with me, you know. Supposed to, you know, not go with that. Let me see here. Anyway, Alex Jones is going to the White House. Boy, there's nothing in the news. You know why? Because everybody is so busy dealing with the administration, they don't deal with anything else, and so we don't have a lot of other stuff to talk about. By the way,
I heard a little bit in Israel
Mhm.
that there were some of the people were going home.
Oh,
People who
not a
were-
few people. Thousands were going back home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thousands. Yeah. But they won't stay there long because Donald Trump's going to make that into a place with hotels.
Oh,
So, you know.
Drive into the sea.
Hmm?
He's gonna drive them into the sea.
Mm-hmm. No, he wants to send them back to like Palestine, send them back to Jordan, places like that, you know. He said, the place is a mess, it's been leveled, and it's ready to build condos. You know, I mean, he just, he feels that it's not habitable any longer, so they should just move elsewhere. Wait a minute, is that him? I get it.
No, he's muted.
Oh, he is
No.
muted.
We heard him talking.
I think
Oh, that was me. Sorry.
I think I'm.
Oh.
I think,
Trump was saying the FAA workforce was too white.
Hmm? What'd you say?
They're just talking about what Trump was saying earlier about the DE&I group had people with disabilities and all this stuff. So, oh my God, you said it last night. You guys were live watching this crash, and Alex just kept saying, Trump's going to blame Biden somehow.
Yeah.
He said that all night, and sure enough.
I was saying that as a joke because I couldn't figure out how in any kind of reasonable world that we live in, he could come up with that determination.
Yeah. And Buttigieg, whatever his name is, he's loud right now saying, we trying to pull survivors, and Trump is pointing the finger and blaming people.
Yeah.
Politicizing it.
We're trying to get bodies out of the Potomac right now, and he's making some kind of trying to make political hay out of it. That's why I'm saying that I'm betting that it's just a matter of time before he really blows it, So anyway,
Well, that's one person that should be really vocal right now. I mean, what does Buttigieg have to lose right now?
No, he's
start
nothing.
being a really vocal person in all this Trump stuff, and then start running next term.
Yeah. Well, I think Buttigieg is pretty good. He's the real deal, and he's all we got, right? So. Well, let's see here. Anybody seen any good TV shows? Any good movies?
No.
Boy, you people just don't get around, do you?
Told you last night. I
What, Brian?
I'm just going to say Adrian had her first competition last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And she did really good. She has another one this weekend. So.
Yeah. She did really well herself.
No, she did really well. Her solo one. Yeah, really good.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she has another one this weekend. So excited for her.
You're just a proud dad.
Yeah.
Did you have a camera there?
Huh?
Did you have a camera there?
Yeah, they don't like you taking video, but they live stream it. And then one person in our group, they always get the songs and they'll send them right to us. So, yeah.
So you live stream them? Where do they put them up on YouTube?
Yeah. On Loom. But I'll send it to you.
What's Loom?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, but I'll send it to you.
It's Zoom with an L. I don't know.
Loom.
And then we just celebrated Vietnamese New Year last night.
Oh, wow.
Couple nights ago also. Fireworks nonstop with the police right there. Lines of firecrackers going off for like 10 minutes. Crazy.
Wait a minute. So did you celebrate it with the family?
No. With a friend.
Or with a friend? Oh, you have.
In Lodi or in San Jose?
In San Jose, of course.
Is this a new girlfriend?
Maybe.
Is she Vietnamese? Is she Vietnamese too?
Yeah, she's Vietnamese.
You don't learn, do you?
I tried Chinese and Thai a couple lately, and then I meet this girl, and then we start talking, and I go, "Oh, are you Vietnamese?" She said, "Yes." So,
I have somebody to fix you up with.
She's a friend of my friends, and she knows all of a big group of my old Vietnamese friends when I used to be married. So actually, it works out pretty good. So all of us are good friends already. So it's fun.
Yeah. All right.
A lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were there any Vietnamese cops at the festival?
Oh yeah. I know one from a long time ago.
I know one that works for San Jose that would be a good match with you.
Oh, a female cop.
She's cute and she's Vietnamese, and she's single, and I think she's about 34. Might be too old for you.
Might be too old for him.
No.
You've just ticked off all the positives here, Alan.
I don't know. I think they'd make a good couple.
Does she have state issued handcuffs?
She has city issued handcuffs. I mean,
Well, my question is, you're attracted.
She likes old cars.
You're attracted a lot to Asian women, right?
For good reason.
Who are you talking to? Me?
Since high school, yes.
Since high school.
Who isn't?
I've never gone out with an Asian woman.
Oh God, they're great.
No.
Yeah, I was one of the first. I was a groundbreaker.
I only went out with. I've only gone out basically with Jewish women.
Oh my God.
Oy vey.
No, there's a reason for that. They are in the sack, they are terrific. They
What
are
sack?
they are
Potato sack?
really terrific. But you know, there's an old joke about you know how you make a Jewish woman stop having sex? Marry
her.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. But no, I found that Jewish women were, you know, for a while I never went out with Jewish women, and then all of a sudden I started going out with them. And when I came to New York, man, I'm telling you, they're on top of it, they're exotic. You know, so
Wow, are you blind?
what?
Anyhow,
What do you mean? Am I blind?
I don't know. I consider Asian women exotic. I don't consider Jewish
Oh,
women.
you get some Jewish women from. Oh God, there's some here that are just, you know,
I don't think I know any Jewish women. Are there Jewish women in San Jose?
never have been. No, never.
New
Yeah,
York, right?
there's synagogues in San Jose.
No, but in New York, I just found that, you know, I mean, when I lived in California, I was growing up as a kid. I never felt I was particularly attractive. And you know, I could get laid, but it took work. All right. So then I moved to New York, and I had women left and right. All of a sudden, I was for them, you know, and I liked them too, you know. So I had a really good time here in New York, you know. I mean,
Probably in San Francisco, the way you got laid is you said, "Hi, I'm Alex Bennett." Oh, we know you from the radio. Come on, let's go.
well, that did help,
Probably.
you know. That did help. What didn't help was, well, anyway. What did help was it being on the radio. That was a great introduction to people, you know.
Absolutely.
But I didn't. It's funny. I didn't trust women who wanted me because I was on the radio. You know, I didn't trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I trusted women who didn't know who the hell I was, you know, and we just hit it off.
I was once at a party where Dr. Don Rose or something like that. He was a DJ here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
KFRC.
And we were talking about getting laid in San Francisco or something like that. And he says, all I do is tell the women who I am and they want to go to bed with me.
Yeah, I found that. Well, I'm trying to think. Did that do it for me, or was it a hindrance?
I found the uniform worked for these girls. They were attracted to the uniform. Once I got out of the uniform, they wanted to kick me out of the room.
You mean they liked being a cop?
Yes.
Yeah.
It made them feel safe.
It made them feel safe?
Sure.
Guy has a gun and a baton and they feel safe?
Yeah, well, you know, when I'm off duty, we can go to places in San Francisco and Oakland and stuff where they may not feel safe, but they would feel safer. Although if I have a gun, 15 other people around us have guns too.
Yes, right.
But anyhow.
So anyway, being on the radio helped a lot, you know.
Sure.
In fact, I said if I wasn't on the radio, I never would have gotten laid. So
there you are. That's what Don Rose said. I don't know if that was his real name or not.
I don't know. I really don't know.
I met him at a party once, and we were talking. And
well, my God, if Don Rose could get laid being a disc jockey, as mediocre as Don Rose was, then hell.
He had like you. He had a big name in San Francisco, so
he did have a big name in San Francisco. Yeah.
KFRC 610, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's correct.
People ask me if I ever met him. I don't think I ever met Don Rose.
He was before you, right?
Yeah, but he was also while I was there as well. But he was kind of losing his.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it was in the mid 80s that I met him somewhere. I'm trying to think back.
Yeah.
Which is when he would have been popular.
Yeah, I think the early 80s he was popular. I remember listening to him all the time, and yeah.
Yeah, well, I was I got to San Francisco in the 80s. You know, well, I was born there, but I mean, I got on the radio there in the 80s.
I think the first station I ever listened to when I was 15 or 16 was KFRC.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he was, KFRC.
Right.
Yeah. And that was Dr. Don. Yeah. I
Yeah.
tell you, what always used to get me was there was a guy named Gene Nelson, and he was on KSFO.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, guy was mediocre. I mean, really mediocre, super mediocre. If he had a calling, it was that he was more mediocre than anybody else. Okay. So I'm out of work. I get fired by, I can't remember who. I think it was Live 105. And I'm lying there in bed, and all of a sudden, I had my clock radio tuned to turn on at like 6 in the morning, because that's when I had to go to work, or 5 in the morning. And I had forgot to change it when I wasn't working. So one morning it goes off, and on the radio is Gene Nelson. And I'm listening to this guy, and I'm lying there in a half stupor, and I'm thinking to myself, I go, how does this work? He's got a job, but I'm not working. And
He
I've
was
always
a talk show host for a while, wasn't he?
No. He was a morning disc jockey, but he did all the all the crappy stuff that mediocre morning disc jockeys do. Like, it's time for the horrible scopes now, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing I hate more than mediocre radio people.
I remember Don Rose used to do that. Remember, he used to do the weather. He used to say San Rafael. He used to say, "Oh, the city is really funny."
Well, here was one for Don Rose, Sacratomato.
Sacratomato, yes.
Right.
Oh man, that's funny, isn't it? Huh? Sacratomato, my God.
Speaking of helicopters going into the Potomac, there was a gal that was a newscaster, I think in San Francisco, or a DJ.
Oh,
she was a newscaster.
I knew her quite well. Jane Dornacher. I knew her quite well. She was a comedian.
Did she die or survive in the helicopter?
She was a stand-up comic.
Right.
And she moved to New York. We were in a video together, a music video together.
Wow.
And she went to New York, and she became this was, I think, in the afternoons. She went to work at WNBC radio, and she was the helicopter commute woman, or whatever those were, for Howard Stern.
Oh,
well, I didn't know.
And she went down in the Hudson.
Wow. When I heard about the accident last night, the helicopter, it immediately went back to the helicopter that she was in. Was she? Somebody survived it. The pilot or her? Or
yeah, she didn't. She didn't.
They had pictures of whatever bridge crosses it there. People stopping their car and diving off the bridge into the water to help try and save people.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew Jane kind of briefly. I mean, we did that video together, and I don't know if she ever did my show. And she was in a movie. She was in The Right Stuff. She played a nurse, the nurse in The Right Stuff. And
the Tom Cruise movie?
No, the Right Stuff. It's about the astronauts.
Apollo 13. I know.
No, it isn't about Apollo 13.
It's about Gemini, I think.
It's about the space program. The beginning of the space program. And she played a nurse who I think gives them all kinds of tests and things like that. But Jane was, she had a pretty good little career going for her, and it was a shame when she died.
The helicopter stalled or something like that, right?
Something like that, yeah.
It didn't collide with anything, if I remember right.
Collided with the river.
Well,
yeah,
but I mean, and in a lot of cases, if a helicopter goes down and there's nothing in the way of the rotors, they just land rather lightly. But what happens usually, like with Bill Graham, the concert promoter, he died coming back from a concert. It was raining, and they hit a power pole, power grid.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And it killed him immediately. You know, if a helicopter comes down and there is nothing in its way, it just lands lightly because the rotors keep going. You know, just and
Called auto rotation.
yeah, they go down. You know, but if they hit the water or they hit a pole or they hit any number of things, you're in trouble. You know,
Who was the? I'm not a
because
sports guy. Who was the L.A. Laker a couple of years ago?
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
In the fog slammed into the side of a mountain.
Yeah, well, he had his own helicopter, and it picked him up to take him downtown or something. I don't know, to go shopping or whatever. And his daughter was on the helicopter too. You know,
The police that were there got fired because they took pictures and put them on the internet.
Yep.
Of his
Yep.
daughter.
I remember that.
And they were fired. L.A. sheriff's deputies. Good for them. That's not what you put out there.
Yep.
I wonder if they ever got their jobs back.
I doubt it.
I wonder if they got jobs somewhere else.
Probably.
Probably. See.
Walmart.
Yeah.
No.
So, Kevin, what's new with you? Anything?
Who, me? No, nothing.
You're the only Kevin I know here.
I wasn't sure if you said my name or not.
Yeah, nothing new?
No, nothing going in.
Okay.
What's wrong with RFK?
What's wrong with
Brain damage?
Yeah, what's wrong with him? Is there something wrong with him?
Everything.
I know mentally, yes, but I mean his speech and everything is no.
I don't know what.
Syndrome.
It's like he fell down while he had a stick in his mouth or something. You know. I don't know, but all I know is when I was watching the hearings yesterday, I found him very hard to listen to.
Yes,
You know,
I laughed when
took,
you said that.
it took too much work for me to understand him.
Yes.
Maybe he ate a lot of paint chips when he was a kid with lead.
I have no idea where that came from.
There's some kind of esophageal disease that does. I can't remember what it's called though.
Huh.
It's in your esophagus or something. Makes your larynx go wacky.
Really?
Yeah, like Alex says, I tried watching him, listening to him yesterday when they're talking with the onesies, and oh my God, I had to turn it off.
Yeah, could you imagine him in a press conference like what Trump does? 3-4 hours long?
Dysphonia.
Yeah. Well,
It'd be hard.
And as I said last night, having what's her name sitting behind him, I felt I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Well, I like her. I don't.
Cheryl Hines, I do too. But how can you like her? She likes RFK Jr.
I know.
Right?
You know.
Who don't you like that's a female, Charlie? Gotta be a
Sarah
short
Palin.
list. Gotta be a short list.
Sarah. Oh, name any Republican woman.
Okay.
Okay.
Kristi Noem, Sarah
Kristi
Palin,
Sarah Palin, Kristi Noem,
No.
what's her name? Boebert.
Boebert. Oh yeah, I mean
Marjorie Trash Can Green.
Yeah, but with Lauren Boebert, you get handy in the theater. How can you not like her?
She was probably going down on the guy, and they turned it around to smoking weed or something.
No, she was on.
Giving him a hand job.
She was giving him.
She
a
was
hand
upright.
job.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she was giving him a hand job. Well,
Didn't they get thrown out for smoking in the theater?
no, they didn't. They asked them to stop.
And they wouldn't, and she wouldn't.
Wasn't she using a vape or something like that? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But
The
anyway,
guys probably know. Don't stop. I'm about ready to get off.
yeah. Well, anyway. Otherwise, let me think here for a second. I'm trying to think of what else was happening in the news that I was interested in. Really nothing. Marjorie watches the news a lot. I can't put up with it. Oh, it's Trump. He's dominating the news cycle again. There's no other news. I mean, it takes a literal plane crash to get him off the front page.
And he's mad about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's why he says something like he said today. you know. He inserted himself into that news item. Okay.
Yes. He wants to be in charge
Yeah.
of
Well,
everything.
yeah. Is he living at the White House now? I guess he is.
Yeah.
I hear that this weekend he imposes the tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
He did?
25% this coming weekend on Saturday.
Oh. Well, then I guess Canada will start imposing a 25% tariff on us.
It's really going to hurt the people in the northern part of the country because they supply natural gas for heating. They supply gasoline products, electricity and stuff, and it's going to hurt Canada, but it's going to hurt the northern part of the United
It's
States.
going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Lumber.
If you got a car,
Absolutely.
do you need that gas from Canada?
Yeah, well, we don't get our gas from Canada in the Bay Area. We get it from the Bay Area.
Well, this is a de facto tax on you and I. You know,
Yeah.
I
I don't
mean,
know how much more they can tax us in California.
and what comes up from Mexico? What does Mexico supply us with?
Fruit.
Oh yeah,
They build,
Apples are fruit.
right. They take care of our food, but they put together a lot of the parts that go
Oh, yeah,
into cars.
Components.
GM has got a huge plant down there, and they're really pissed at Trump right now because a lot of the components are put together,
Yeah.
wiring harnesses and all that kind of stuff, and then they send them up here and they put them into cars.
I wonder how Elon feels about the fact that Trump has been passed some, made some executive orders requiring cars to keep using gas instead of electricity.
As compared to electricity.
Huh?
Well, I think, it's expensive to buy it, to get a car with electricity.
Well, there are some other models which are cheaper. There are, like, I think General Motors makes a Chevy Volt, which I
There's a
think
Volt
is like about
for like 25,000.
$25,000, $30,000. Yeah, yeah. So it's not terrible. I wouldn't buy a Tesla to save your life now.
I guess you can't pay me to drive a Tesla.
Yeah,
They're changing their emblem on the back of the car from the little T
yeah,
to a C
Yeah.
tile.
Yeah.
yeah, right. I just don't. I don't understand why he feels that what he's doing is good for business. But how can I argue it? Before he started doing this, it was only worth $250 billion. Now he's worth $400 billion.
Doing something right.
Yeah, so he's doing something right. But
Well, a lot of people bought his car.
yeah, but
They
a
said,
lot of
"Wow."
people, a lot of people are not buying it now.
Yeah, because of his little
Yeah.
hand salute there.
I
Yep.
think something you don't want to do is you don't want to get too politically involved. You want to, if you got a product you're selling, you kind of want to stay removed from that. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do about Apple products because I'm so in the Apple ecosphere that I don't know what I'm going to do because who shows up at the inauguration kissing his butt? The head of Apple. What's his name?
That won't last very long. He's what's his name? He's openly gay, and so Trump.
Well, I know he's openly gay, but so that's even more reason to say, how stupid are you to go to that inauguration?
Yep.
And how stupid are you to go to that inauguration in that you have a product that probably, if you were to go out and ask your people who love your product, or Apple people, where their politics lie, it's probably to the left, not to the right.
Probably.
So what a stupid move that was on his
Their
part.
headquarters is here in the Bay Area. It's in Silicon Valley. And I'll bet 90% of the people that work there are Democrats.
We're probably ashamed of him going to that thing.
Probably.
But they were all there. In fact, I was saying that I think the only one that wasn't there was Microsoft. And then I find out that, yes, Microsoft was there too. They were all there.
You know,
Well,
people want to kiss their ass of
Yeah.
the president. That's it.
No, but
Wait.
you don't want, because he is so volatile politically, you don't really want to take the chance. If you don't go to the president's inauguration, if you don't go there and kiss his ass, it doesn't hurt your product. But if you go, it hurts your product to a certain segment of your audience. I mean,
But it gives your company some protection by going to
That's right.
support him.
did you hear what the FCC is doing of course, under Trump? They are going after NPR and PBS.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
This came out today. Did you read about it, Charlie? Yeah.
No, he promised to do that during the election.
Because they're saying all those little 15-second ads they run before a show amount to advertising. This show is being brought to you by Bank of America, who hopes that someday, if you need a bank, you'll come see us. That's it. Fine. What's wrong with that? But they're doing an investigation into that, thinking of pulling licenses because they're doing that. It's terrible. It's really horrible. And so that's one of the things that we're dealing with him. He's going after them. He's thinking of going after ABC. Yeah, basically because ABC did something wrong during the election process, during the campaigns. I think they're going after CBS. I don't know if they're going after NBC, but they're trying to intimidate the press, which are the people who keep him honest, or try to. Yeah, right. Nobody's going to keep him honest, but he doesn't like anybody that disagrees with him. He doesn't want any opposition out there.
Nope, sure doesn't.
Neither did Hitler.
Hitler, right? Yeah, Hitler started
right.
that, right?
Neither did Mussolini. But he really admires strong-willed leaders, even though he doesn't have the ability to be one, because he's a complete pussy, He's always trying to act tough. Oh, yeah, you know what I want to do? I want to punch that guy in the nose. Yeah, well, don't let that guy get near you, okay? He's always braggadocious, and what am I going to say? None of this is going to help, okay? It's only going to be a catharsis, and quite frankly, it's not even a catharsis for me anymore. Makes me want to throw up. So anyway, are you waiting? I guess two of these people here are waiting around for Amy, who's next.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if the theme was playing, we might be able to get to it.
What do you mean you might be able to get to it? Oh, okay. Well, go.
My clock says it's time for the theme to be playing.
No, not yet. Not yet. I'll start it early. How's that? Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, that's it. Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you, Brian, for being here, and thanks to Alan for being here, and thanks to Charlie, and of course, always thanks to Kevin and Jeff, and thanks to the other Brian who, quite frankly, didn't last very long with us. It looked like he was sinking into the sunset. Anyway, say... Everybody wave a big goodbye, and I'll wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our happy group of people on the citizen panel. Now stay tuned now for Amy Manuel. She's next over this most of these same stations. She'll be here with the intersection, and she'll be taking your calls on Skype at GabNet Live. I will see you again here tomorrow night, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, boy, I still got a minute. I got to stall. Well, Amy, if you're listening to me, we may be going on early here. If you see her, yeah, of course. Tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks.